Good morning, everyone. It is Preakness Day, Preakness 150. And there's sometimes you go and you dream and you say, well, this could never happen. But it has. I get to be with my old buddy here from Maryland. What does this mean today? Of course, Gabby Gaudet, what does this mean to you on the final day at Big Top?
We are reunited.
I know.
Finally.
Yes.
It feels so good, Ron. I'm so happy to be here and happy to be here, obviously, for the final Preakness at Old Hilltop as we know it. It means a lot. I didn't think I would get emotional, but when I was actually driving here on Thursday, I started to get a little emotional because not only was this the first place that I started working in television, but it was also a place that I came to with my parents many, many times, coming out to the races with Dad. I have a lot of special memories here, so a little bittersweet, but I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, it looks like the rain has finally gone away. We're going to start the day with muddy conditions on the main track, but the turf course is good, and that's special.
Yes. So yesterday was a little wild. I'm not going to lie. When that storm front rolled in, I was trying to look for somewhere to go undercover. But obviously the sun is out. It's going to be a warm day, but the main track listed as muddy. Turf is good. And obviously first post at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, for all the time you spent here, and when we get a track like this and it stays sunny, does it like get better as the day goes on?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the sun is shining. It's going to be hot. We're going to be dealing with a drying out track throughout the afternoon, but it is sealed. And historically, you think of Pimlico main track, it's always a bit speed favoring, and I think especially when it's sealed and tight like that, so something to probably keep in mind. But the track is going to change throughout the day.
Yeah, so you always have to pay attention to what's going on as far as that goes. So now, we've done this many times together. Let's get it rolling again today. So, Harry, we'll kick it off in the first race. It's going to be a 6-furlong sprint, and these are allowance optional. Claim is 40,000 non-winners of 2. We're going to scratch Sheriff Ronnie. Of course, I had that on my ticket. I had to take it off. How could you not have Sheriff Ronnie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hunch bet of the day, right?
Right. But you put an early pick 5 ticket together. Let's take a look at it.
I did. Now, I will say this. I think I had like 4 or 5 top picks scratch. So I was really pumped up about today, and now I don't know. I have to kind of reassess the situation. But in the opener, I think you have to use the 5. The 5's going to be 4 to 5, heavy favorite. But I also use the 7 and the 8. In race 2, I have a little bit of coverage, the 8, 9, and the 11. The preference there is the 11 Batula for Bethany Baumgardner. And then in the third race, using 3 horses there with the 3, 4, and the 7. I'm singling Booth. I think a lot of people might be doing that. And then I have coverage with the 3, 7, and the 9 in the 5th and final leg of that early pick 5.
Yeah, so a very good ticket. I agree with you on most of those. I didn't know what you had before the scratches, but we'll see how it starts. Getting into this first race, you mentioned that you sort of have to have the 5 Augusta Melody on your ticket.
Yeah, especially with the scratch of Sheriff Ronnie, it kind of looks like Augusta Melody is going to be the controlling speed. Not only is he really good, and he won a really nice race last time out at Keeneland, but I don't know that anybody is as fast as he is. So I did go with him, obviously. I'm going to be using him, but the 8, I think those are not the right selections, but the 8 is definitely a horse I think you can use because 7/8 I don't think is his game. He comes out of a 7/8 race last time out, and I do like him cutting back to the 3/4.
That was a sealed muddy track too, so I don't really. I had some interest in the number 1 horse in this particular in the opener, along with that, and that's Bandcamp. I think this one sits the trip, even with Sheriff Ronnie. I think maybe if things get dicey on the front end, this one could sit a little bit of a trip in the first race, and the old story about Bandcamp. But we will not go there today.
All right, sounds
All
good.
right, sounds good. All right, race number 2 this afternoon, 1 mile allowance. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. We scratched the main track only to 5 Honor Cat, and the number 6 horse will be ridden by the one and only Paco Lopez. So I think we have a ticket to show for Michelle's early pick 4. Let's take a quick look at it and see what she's up to this afternoon. This morning, I should say, or this afternoon.
It's still morning, definitely.
No, Michelle.
Okay, we don't have a ticket.
We don't have a ticket, so let's get into the race. I know you like the number 11 a little bit. Yeah, Batula.
I actually looked at 2 horses, and they're both going to be decent prices. One of them is Batula. The other one is 5,2. who was the 8-horse, 20-1 on the morning line. But I did slightly go with the 11 Batula. You know, we've seen the progeny of Lope de Vega. They've been really popular at the European sales. People from the States go over there, purchase them, bring them back here, and they've been really successful. Horses that come to mind, Carl Spackler, multiple Grade 1 winner,
Right.
newspaper of record. They just really like the conditions of the turf in North America, and this filly was really impressive last time out at Tampa. Now, it was a while ago. It was back in November, but I thought that was a really handy ride, really nice trip. Johnny Velasquez is aboard her today, and I think she could probably get a good position from that outside post position. With the 8-5,2, her last race was a prep race,
Right.
5.5 furlongs. She was actually really good in that race,
Right.
but she's better stretching out to 2 turns. And if you look at her races going 2 turns at Laurel, her thoroughgraph numbers are competitive with this field. So look for her at a big price.
I used a 9 in here, dropped the hammer. I don't know if that's going to be the morning line favorite or not. 2-1 with Irad. You know what? I had a really bad trip last time
Yeah.
out. I went back and looked at it. So real, you know, in that allowance race at Keeneland, and you were probably there. And it was you know, I just thought this horse has that upside. Grand Motion. Irad Ortiz Jr. had a couple of wins yesterday. Looks like a logical one. I agree with you with the 11. Have that one right on my ticket. So race number 2, certainly a race we will look into. You can get a price in it, like you said. You
I
know.
think so. And look, you never know what's going to happen, who's going to handle a good turf course. It's going to have a little give to it. So I think, you definitely have to consider that. If horses don't have experience on a softer turf, you have to look to the pedigree.
You know, I was talking to a couple of jocks yesterday. I had been locked into the jocks room during that storm, and they would tell me the grass is a little longer than normal.
Okay.
And that's why they were like swooshing along. Now, this is before the big rain came. So I don't know, put that somewhere in your brain. Maybe it'll help you out
Okay.
here. You know, just something like that. Let's go to race number 3 this afternoon. And this one is a mile in the 16th. Maiden special weight. I love this condition. We don't have this anywhere but here. It's for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year. No, I'm joking. For anybody that wants to be in here. We got a couple of scratches in here. Kitty's Son and the number 8. Tell him I'm coming. What'd you end up doing after scratches?
So I went to the 7, Drill Baby. I'm trying to beat the 2 short prices in here. We've got Greg Compton going against Todd Pletcher and Bob Baffert. Let's go. But no, I think this horse is setting himself up for success. I like the 2 sprints to the route move. That's always been a successful move. I like the presence of Paco. This horse last time out at Oaklawn, he was so wide, he probably ran a mile at the end of the day. So, and he actually finished up quite well. Greg Compton stretching out dirt sprints to routes, 25% positive ROI of $2.40. I thought that was a really good move. With Varney, I think he's a little bit unreliable. I mean, his race 2 back. I don't know what happened. His race last time out, yes, it was a good field, and he might be the controlling speed today, but there are question marks for him. And with the one last man standing, he did not, and he's helped by the scratches, he did not like the kickback that he got last time out. His head was high in the air, took him a long time to get going, kind of seems a little green, and he's still learning. So I thought maybe there's an opportunity to beat these 2 horses.
Well, Varney, I don't usually try and go, but Varney comes out of that race is a monster key race.
It is.
Produced 4 next out winners from 6 starters. If you follow my analysis, I'm a sucker for this every time. My key races. Of course, it's Baffert. Oh, I'm giving away a big secret. Flavin Pratt with 3 wins yesterday. But just wanted to point that out. That comes out of a really, really good race there. So
goal-oriented, obviously running in the Preakness later.
Yeah, that's exactly. So good race. Going to be very short price.
Very short. Right. Yes.
Race number 4, stakes action here. This is the Maryland Sprint Grade 3 event. The old scratch bird hit us here with the number 2, Prince of Jericho, and the number 4, 90% Maddie. The 10% of Maddie is also scratched out of this race. And you're talking about Booth. I think you want to show a replay.
Yeah, let's go back to his last race. This was in the Grade 3 at Oaklawn. And, I think people might look at the past performances and say, he was all out to win this race, and when you look at the stretch run, he was all out to win this race. But keep in mind, the opening quarter fractions the fractions for the half. He took pressure throughout and somehow still dug in to hold off all of those late challengers. He had every excuse to spit the bit and stop coming down the stretch, and he didn't. So, in fact, I thought that was one of his more impressive races, although he kind of regressed if you're looking at his Beyer speed figures. He posted a 107 in the Whitmore, came back with a 97 last time out. But if you watch that gallop out, he didn't let anybody past him in the gallop out.
And those fractions, when you look at 21 and 4, 44 and 4, he's motoring.
Yes.
Usually they back right up. There was a race here yesterday. I forget the name of the horse. Goes up. Maybe it was the feature. Goes out, set these fractions. Mile and 3/16. I'm watching. I said, this horse is not going to last. Backed up. So that's a good performance, and that's a sneaky good one. Buyers, okay. We'll go with that. What about I want to just talk about the number one, the number 5 in here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought this horse, Concrete Glory, I know this horse from Gulfstream Park, with Taffy Joseph Jr., and I thought the GP Sprint was a really good performance. He was up there setting okay fractions, just got beat. So you want to throw a horse. The race got decimated by the scratches, so you got to figure out where anybody's going to be in this particular race.
It's probably going to be these two horses on the lead now, because I think Concrete Glory, although he's probably not as naturally fast as Booth, I think he's got to go because you can't let Booth alone on the lead. His last race was good. He was kind of on the wrong lead coming down the stretch, so I like the fact that they freshened him a little bit after that last race because he had a series of really tough, really good races. So he comes in fresh, which I think is always dangerous in these sprint races.
Well, the horse we have both have in third, the 3, Celtic Contender. This one comes from the parking lot. He might get a street trip in there this afternoon, so we'll see how it plays out. Sometimes speed, you always think, jockeys read the past performances and the trainers, and they say everybody that has speed takes back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, don't get caught in the speed bull. Then there is no speed in the particular race.
It's true, and I think sometimes in those sprint races that come up with a shorter field, it becomes even more tricky.
Yeah, so let's go to race number 5 this afternoon. It's on the grass. As we mentioned at the top, the turf course is listed as good. This is an allowance race, and it's a pretty nice race. It's for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. We did have some scratches in here of the 1, my girl Ginger, the 5, Parola Sicura, I think it is, and the 13, the main track only in here. And once again, we got a video of Wise and Elegant that you want to show that you have right at top. Now, I missed this horse, so I'm really interested to see what you're going to show us.
So this was a race at Pimlico last May. So this is the only time that this mare ran at Pimlico, and it was a 5-furlong turf sprint. She's coming back in this spot here today. She almost won, and she almost won at 4-1 in that race. That was against Allowance Company. She lost by a whisker that day. And look, her last race wasn't great. It was at Gulfstream. They went 20-4 for the opening quarter. I think she got run off her feet early. She's coming back to a course that we know she likes. She's been able to handle a turf with a little bit of give to it. I like her at a big price. And Forest Boys just has this tendency. Horses just run for her, especially from off the pace. And she, I think, is going to suit this mare perfectly for a nice setup.
Well, I know you found a really interesting stat on the 3. We'll skip over to the 3 because I found it interesting with Glean in here.
Yeah. 0 for 10 on the turf for Wesley Ward. Now, this is just over the course of the past 5 years, and obviously Wesley has won a couple of races when he shipped in on the dirt, but we think of Wesley, he's really good with his sprinters, really good with his turf sprinters, really good with his 2-year-olds. I was surprised to see that and mind you, those horses were, I think 4 or 5 of them were odds on.
Yeah, they're always odds on.
Yeah, so heavy favorites there.
Yeah, I want to ask you about I did a similar thing like you did with the 7. I did that with the number 11. I don't know what price this horse is, 9-2, because I looked at those races in Europe. It says good, fast, good. Good over there is like a bog.
Yielding,
so yielding. So I thought maybe this horse had a shot coming in for Elizabeth Merriman. Of course, Flavor Prep riding's going to lower the price. But that similar situation, I was thinking like you, that maybe the soft turf is going to play to a European horse today.
Probably. I think that definitely picks her up a little bit. When I looked at the class lines, though, I wasn't crazy about the Group 3 that she comes out of. Even prior to that, some of those stakes races that she was in, she didn't really handle herself in those races, and they weren't really that good when you look at some of the contenders and what they went on to do. But she could be a completely different horse. We've seen Cutter Racing go over, buy these horses privately, bring them here, and they do really well in their North American campaign. So she is a little sneaky there.
Yeah, and you're handicapping today like we did together. Look for horses that maybe handle the grass with a little give
Absolutely.
in it. When you go going to race number 6 this afternoon, we have the Skip at Stakes. It's a listed event, 125 guaranteed, no scratches in race number 6 this afternoon. And before we go, I think Millie Ball had a pick 4 ticket that she put together, and there you see it. It's $48, and fun working with Millie Ball yesterday and again today. She went 4 deep here in race number 6. Race number 7, 4 deep again. She's really singling in on race number 8, I believe, with the 7 and 8, which is probably the way to go with Fastigator and 1-900, which we'll show a video of. So good ticket for her, $48 in the race. How did you see race number 6?
Race number 6, I thought it was a really interesting race. The 7 Striker Has Dial is actually going to be the top selection for me. I believe we have a replay for her last race, so we can go ahead and roll that. I really think that at the end of the day, Ron, they finally figured out what this filly wants to do. They tried her long, they tried her on the turf, they tried her 7/8, and then when they finally cut her back to 6 furlongs, she's been undefeated. She's been really good at 6 furlongs. She showed a rating gear or 2 back. She went to the lead in this race. So she is versatile in terms of her running style, and I think the outside post position for her, Kendrick Carmouche has options with that post.
Yeah, and Kendrick Carmouche, I was just going to mention, he's going to the front or near the front. That's his M.O., doing it in there. So we'll see how it is. I did use that horse in second. I went with the 5 on top. I just thought this horse had a shot. Zelitos in there. And from Steve Asmussen. What I liked about the horse, 9 races at this distance, 6 wins. You know the connections. Comes out of the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. Usually they need a race once they come out of that. Well, maybe we'll see. But it's going to be a big price. I think maybe going with the 7 might be the better deal.
Yeah, well, she's just getting her season started.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. Do you want to go with a horse who's had a couple of races this season, or do you want to go with a horse like Zeitlos, who is making her seasonal debut? And she is really good. I've been a big fan of Zeitlos. She really turns it on when she closes from off the pace. I do wonder if she's going to get the right pace scenario. I mean, Disco Ebo is quick. My horse is quick to the outside. The curious horse in here is One Magic Filly. Phil D'Amato shipped her to Churchill for a couple of workouts and now shipped her to Pimlico. It makes me wonder, did he try to run her in a race, Derby week or something like that? But she's good. And she ran in the La Brea last time out against Copian. Copian came back to run a 109 buyer in the Derby City Distaff. She is legit.
I just want to mention the one Apple Picker, the defending champ.
Yes,
in this race.
she's
So just put that in back. So this one actually, for Brittany and Sheldon Russell, they're going to team up, try and get Apple Picker to find lightning in a bottle again. So we'll see.
She's an honest horse, but this race came up much tougher than it did last year.
So just wanted to put that out there. Going to give you all the information that we have gleaned out of this card this afternoon. Race number 7 this afternoon is the 20th running of the Jim McKay Turf Sprint, listed $125,000. Scratch the 1, Boats Are Rockin', and the 7, Duncan, Idaho. And in this particular race here, I'm in the wrong race. Slipped the race. Excuse me, my page went. Here it is, race number 7. It's the 74th running of the Gallaret Grade 3 event, $150,000. And this one has the pick 5 in it that a lot of people are going to be betting. And there you see the ticket from Samantha.
Yeah, race 10, she singles the 6. But she has coverage in the first leg of the sequence, so she does single the 6 Invictus.
Invictus, yeah. So we'll see how that plays out in there. And how did you see the 7th race? I tried to get right to the 9th today without skipping over a couple.
It's all good. This is a good race.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to skip over it. I liked Dana's Beauty. Mike Maker. Well, I don't know if he had anything to do with it, but she's out now. I actually really liked her in this race. So with that, I pivot to the 2 Queen of the Mud. I think you have to ask yourself what's a fair price on a horse like this, because the question with her is probably the mile and a 16th. Yes, she won at a mile at Santa Anita 2 starts back, but let's show you that race, because you couldn't have asked for a better trip. this
Right.
day. She is on the inside. Did we circle her or anything? I'm just trying to pick her up.
Yeah.
She's down on the inside. The 4-horse, I believe she is in this race.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the trip you want. Look at the C's part for her. Down on the inside, she never has to angle out. She hugs the rail throughout, and then she goes on with it. I mean, she saved every inch of ground throughout. This was a brilliant ride by Juana Hernandez. And look, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't when you save ground on the rail.
Right.
But she ran every inch of a mile and nothing further than that. So the question is whether or not she can handle mile and 16th and also over kind of a softer ground that might be a little bit more tiring.
Yeah, it's just I when I was looking at this race, I actually wrote that it was a little wide open to me. You know, we both ended up with Queen of the Mud, but I thought you can go with like the 9, Way to Be Marie or something like that. Add some horses there. You saw the ticket went 4 deep in there, but you know what? I think the 2 is definitely the one to beat in this particular race. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have my Rainbow 6 ticket and other surprises. We'll be right back.
Baltimore! To the city of Baltimore, to all the fans watching around the world.
Tickets are dying out like crazy.
They're off in the Preakness. All eyes of the world will be on Baltimore.
They're head and head. Seabiscuit leads by a length. Seabiscuit is the winner.
And it was a powerhouse race again by the big, strong Secretariat.
Sunday Silence takes the lead at the quarter pole. American Pharaoh, phenomenal in the Preakness. And the filly did it! Rachel Alexandra! Smarty Jones, he wins the Preakness by a dozen lengths. She's the brave, wins the Preakness.
Back this morning, and we'll be looking at the final races on the card. The Rainbow 6 starts here, and it's a $1 million guarantee. You see my ticket up there. And it's like the soup here today. Everything must go. This is mandatory payout, you know, everything, even in the late pick 5. So they're guaranteeing $1 million in this race. You see my ticket. I went 3 deep in here. In race number 9, just the 2, 6, and 9 for me. And then race 10, I'm a little light there with Crudo and the 6 Invictus. We're going to show you a video. Race number 11 today. I just went with my top pick in there is the 7 Reagan's Wit. And then in race number 12, I went deep in there. I think there's a couple of shots you can go in there. I actually have the 4th horse in there. The 12 was 30-1 on the morning line. Decivio, I think it's pronounced. And in the last race, hey, it's just for me. I'm going with River Thames, but I had to throw journalism on the ticket.
River Thames.
Thames. That's
the
that,
Thames.
What is Thames? The Thames. I get yelled at by our paddock judge in Gulfstream.
You just have to say it with a little British accent. The River Thames.
The River Thames. Cheerio. Put your pram over there.
Oh my God. Yes, I have missed working with you, Ron Nicoletti.
So the 8th race here is, like I said, the Rainbow 6 kicks off. And Gabby, did you want to start with 1-900, the number 8, the one you have a video on?
Sure,
Okay,
let's do
that
it.
Sounds like a good, that sounds like a great plan.
Last time out, so this horse ran a 92 buyer in defeat to Colloquial 2 starts back, and then came back to show that he meant business, and he obviously won by 7 lengths against this group at odds of 1-4. Colloquial, he literally could be anything. He's a really, really nice
George
horse
Weaver,
for George
right?
Weaver.
Yeah.
He came to Keeneland. He ran. I think he got a slower buyer in his next start. People were, saying he's not anything, but he is a really, really nice horse. And this is a true test. There's no doubt. He just broke his maiden last time out. There are horses who have gone against Stakes Company, but he's quick. I personally don't think he needs the lead. I think he's versatile. He's got a ton of talent. I like that Flavien Prat picks up the mount. And you know that old angle, the first person you see at the track bet their horse.
Right.
I saw Tom and Maggie Morley this morning, so you got to bet them, right?
You got definitely. I saw this security guard. I don't think he's training anything in this race, but we'll see.
Ask him for a tip.
Yeah, I went for Faster Gator, and you know, I know this horse is going to be on the lead. I think that Moplex is a pretty good horse. So you know, I went and I looked at that, and I said, you know, maybe this horse has a shot. You know, you're going to get a little bit of a price, 6-1 on the morning line. I agree with everything you said with the number 8 horse in there, but yeah, you know, so I just flip-flopped a couple of rounds. You got a little further down on your ticket too.
I definitely am going to use Faster Gator. The other horse in here is the 6 Keep It Easy. I, embarrassingly enough, picked this horse in the Fountain of Youth. Everyone texted me after the race. He's still running.
Yes.
Sorry, Dale. But I actually think he's a really nice horse, and they've obviously given him a break since the Fountain of Youth, and he's just a one-turn horse. He's a one-turn sprinter. He's going to have to improve, but his race at Churchill back in November, really, really good. He won by 5 sprinting. I think he's sneaky. It depends on the price you get, though.
Yeah, exactly. So you see if you could do the number 6 horse, Junior Alvarado, will be in the saddle this afternoon. So once again, the Rainbow Six, $1 million guarantee must go today. And $3 million is for the late pick 5 here. Whoa. And this race is the 20th running. Now we got this race. Now the Jim McKay Turf Sprint, $125,000 guaranteed. Scratch the 1, scratch the 7. Was any one of these your top pick in this race, or you're okay?
No. Thank goodness. I've had so many top picks scratched, but here's a ticket by Ashley Mayu, and she's a very sharp handicapper, so definitely write this down. Check this ticket out, 245 in this first leg. She throws out the 6, Coppola. I think you have to use Coppola, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But race number 10, 168, everyone's going to be using the 6 Invictus. In the 11th race, obviously the 7 and the 8, 12th, 4, 8, 13, and then we get to the finale, the Preakness Stakes. She goes journalism and the 9. Who's the 9?
Who's the 9? The 9 is
Gosger.
What?
Okay.
Gosger. Okay, good.
Lexington winner.
Like you said, sharp handicap, but so definitely pay attention to that race. You could see, I'll show you here's what I wrote in this race, wide open.
Yeah. In this race?
Yeah, this 9th race. I go and I go, well, the 2, and everybody in the world picks the 2.
I think it's all about the 6.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I know it looks like he's been off form, and he has been. His last 2 races, and he's wheeling back, you know, off of relatively short rest. He ran Derby weekend. There's one thing about this horse. He does not like a distance farther than 5 furlongs. 5 furlongs is the best distance for him. Now, I'm a little bit worried about the turf conditions for him because sometimes he doesn't get along with a softer turf. But look at his race down in Gulfstream, in the Gulfstream Park Sprint, in the Janus. I mean, crazy fractions, 20 and 4, 42 and 3 for the half. He is very fast. I saw him paddock schooling yesterday. He looks like he's been working out at the gym.
Yeah.
He's been pumping that iron. I've never seen so many muscles on a horse before.
Well, I, of course, witnessed those 2 races at Gulfstream, and it was a joke. The first day, he just popped out of the gate, and the race was over.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, no chance. So, yes, I fell for the fact that he's been off form, but I'm glad to hear that. I put him a little further down on the ticket. I struggled with putting this horse on top. I wasn't enamored with those 2 races. Now you give me a good reason why, so I ended up going with No Nay Hudson, who I thought was a logical contender in there. I'm definitely using Coppola on the ticket. What about, though? You got No Nay Hudson, and then the 4 horses, Witty.
Witty is a fun horse. He's sometimes not the best gate horse, which is really tough to overcome at 5 furlongs. But I like the little prep that he got last time out. It wasn't a great trip for him, so he could improve.
And he likes Pimlico turf. He's 2 starts, a win in the second, so always a good angle here. You know, we'll see how that plays out this afternoon. And once again, that late pick 5, $3 million guaranteed. Wow. And let's go to race number 10 this afternoon. Let's see who's going to have it. Looks like Samantha will have a pick. But it is 1 mile and 1/16, 27th running of the Sub-Barton, sponsored by Spendthrift Farm to benefit the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Scratch the 4, Mr. Bogan. Scratch the 7, him. I know you liked him.
Who?
Him. Not
Oh,
him.
him.
H-Y-M.
Him. Yeah, him. But unfortunately,
She's getting like me. Here's
Who?
Samantha's
Him?
ticket. Who, me?
Who?
Here's Samantha's ticket. Just very affordable. 18 too deep in here. She's got 3 in race number 11. She thought like me. She added every horse she could think of in race number 12. And in the last, she's going with the number 2 horse in here. She's not being fooled. She's going with journalism.
Yeah,
You like journalism? Well, we'll get to that right.
He's the best horse.
Oh,
It just
100%.
yeah, just you got to wonder, if he can do it off of the 2-week turnaround, and if he can kind of get the right type of trip. But he is the best horse in the Preakness today.
So-
I like that she included the 9.
Yeah.
I thought this horse had a big shot in here. I went 6-9 in here as well. Just a Fair Shake was bobbled out of the gate in the Tessio last time out and was wide. So I actually thought he ran a really good race, all considering. That was obviously going the mile and an eighth, and now he cuts back to the mile and a 16th.
Well, let's show the video of Invictus.
Yeah, let's do it.
So do that and see how that works out. Now,
So
go ahead.
a lot of people like this horse.
Right.
I like him. I was there that day at Keeneland when he ran. When I looked at him, true story, I went up to Brad's assistant and Katie, and I said, is this horse fit and ready to go off the layoff? Because he kind of looked like a heavier-bodied horse.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, I think so. But I think he still has more room to grow. Just looking at him from a physical perspective, he still had a little bit of baby fat on him. And I think he's going to take another big step forward with that one race under the belt. He was on the wrong lead coming down the stretch. He's a horse. Now, you got to pay attention to him later, because
Right.
first time out, he almost tried to mount the pony in the post parade.
Oh.
He's really, really bad.
HOP now.
HOP. Well,
The other
body over pony, not just head over pony. But he's a little bit of a tricky horse mentally, but if he's locked in, he's a really, really nice horse.
Now he gets Lasix this time, the horse.
Yeah.
None Lasix today. Do you factor that in? Does that?
No, I know people might look at the fact that he didn't have LASIX first time out, and then he did last time out. He doesn't get it today. But the reason why he lost first time out was because of his antics on the track.
Right.
And it was just a disaster. He ran his race before entering the gate. So I don't consider that. I just think he's a really nice horse, and he's obviously bred to be a good one out of Oaks winner Serengeti Empress.
Yep, I went, the horse on top with Crudo. I was just very impressed with that race at Keeneland going about 7 furlong distance. Just I said goodbye from everybody. What do we get today? Maiden winner, stepping up.
It's probably going to burn me. I'm going against him a little bit. I thought that was somewhat of an average field for a maiden special weight at Keeneland, and I really think that he has to improve. But look, he was well backed by the public first time out against a good group. He came back. He was visually impressive against that group last time out, and now he has to stretch out to the 2 turns from the rail. But if anybody can do it, Todd Pletcher and Johnny V can do it.
That's for sure. And don't forget that late pick 4, $2 million guarantee. So they're expecting $2 million for sure. Going to race number 11 today. It's a mile on the turf. It's the 60th running of the James W. Murphy. $100,000. Scratch the 2, 3, and the number 5 horse in here. So why? I don't know what they scratched, but they did.
My best bet of the day is out, the 5.
The 5.
Gosh, I was really looking forward to this horse running.
Yeah.
And now with all the scratches, I think it's the 8's race to lose. Honestly, I think he's a horse that's probably best on the lead. They put the blinkers on him today. I think he's able to control the race. Luis Saez, great gate rider, good aggressive rider, really good with any type of horse, but especially speed horses. And I don't know that anybody's as fast as he is, and he's probably just going to wire the field.
Yeah, it looks like the logical one with the scratches in there. I did keep the number 7 Reagan's Wit on top of my ticket and just thought this horse, it sort of changed. I thought he'd sit a nice trip in there. I think you're right with this, the 8 horse just, saying adios for the field in here. So the race number 11 this afternoon, as I mentioned, the James W. Murphy Stakes. Anything else?
I have mixed feelings on the 7 Reagan's Wit because his race at the fairgrounds, so impressive. He won by 8. Then he comes back and almost beat Zulu Kingdom, who came back to win the Grade 1 American Turf on Derby Day. So that was huge.
You're right.
But then last time out, I didn't think he had any excuse. He was just flat. It was a fast pace. It set up for closers, and he didn't kick on. The winners came from where he was at the top of the stretch. So that last race kind of confuses me a little bit. and it was a good listed turf course, but he went on a good listed turf course at the fairgrounds. I don't know. I don't know what to do with the horse.
We'll see what happens. Let's go to race number 12 this afternoon, mile and 1/8 on the turf. The turf listed is good. It is the Dinner Party Stakes Grade 3 event. Scratch the 9, scratch the 11. I know you like Irish Acres in here. What did you do after the scratches?
Yeah, I thought Irish Aces was going to be the lone speed in here. So with that, I went to Trickery on the outside. This is a horse that is the classiest horse in the field, and I actually really like the fact that he gets a little bit more distance. I think the mile is a little sharp for him. Mile is a specialist distance for turf horses,
right,
and I think it's a little bit too sharp for him, at least at this point of his career. So distance is perfect for him. He's a class of the field.
I've been following Fort Washington for Shug McGay, all through Florida and everything there, and the scratch of the 9 Irish Acres, I'm still going to leave him on top, but I lost some of the speed that I needed in there, so we'll see how it plays out.
There's no speed in here.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So we'll see how it plays out. There was a big scratch for that race there, and you see the 13-horse Tricari looks like the one to beat.
You know who might be sneaky in there now? The 5. The 5 might be sneaky because there's no speed, and he is the speed.
You got it. So now let's go to the feature race, the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes, Grade 2 event, $2 million guaranteed, no scratches, no jockey changes, and very curious to see who you put on top.
River Thames.
River Thames, you agree with me. Cheerio.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's right.
But
sorry.
go ahead.
No, say show the video, I was going to say.
Let's do it.
As you talk through it.
Let's go back to the Grade 1 Toyota Bluegrass last time out at Keeneland. Now, mind you, prior to this, he nearly beat the Derby winner in Sovereignty.
Exactly.
And that was his first time stretching out to 2 turns. So, we're watching journalism in the Derby.
Okay, we'll switch around. We'll go with you.
There you go. There you go. And so this was a really fast pace. East Avenue was quarter horsing out of the gate to set the lead. He ran a great race. But look at where the winner comes from. Burnham Square comes from dead last to win this race. Obviously, River Thames was chasing that wickedly fast pace. And his first time going 1.1 miles. I mean, think about all that has been thrown at him, and the fact that he was able to finish 3rd, chasing that fast pace, I thought was a huge bonus for him, and obviously a huge race for him in the Fountain of Youth. So I go with him on top. But journalism is the best horse.
Yes.
And he's so good.
Yeah, I couldn't leave we'll show that real quick because we're getting up a little against time here and everything. By the way, let's roll it.
Yeah, in journalism, look, he made the same move, or he made the move at the same time as Sovereignty. Journalism had a little bit of trouble in the early stages of the race, going into the first turn. Probably cost him a little bit of his early position, but he was head-to-head with Sovereignty at the top of the stretch, and he just was outfinished by Sovereignty. I think he's actually a little bit better on a fast track, and that's probably what he's going to get by the time we get to the Preakness tonight.
I would think so.
He is incredibly intelligent, incredibly impressive, incredibly talented, and he probably will win later, but he's going to be a very short price.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. The 14th race, of course, is the UAE President Cup Arabian Grade 1. We had a scratch of the number 2 and the number 4. It looks like the number 9, Diamond Gem AA, is the one to beat 7-5 on the morning line.
I didn't send in a pick for this. Was I supposed to?
I just wanted to mention, by the way, I want to correct myself. Those are estimated pools. They're not guaranteed in those tournaments. So estimated, I misspoke. That's it. We did it. We finally made it through. This is one of the happiest days of my life to be able to come back and work with Gabby once again. It's been such a ball. I miss her so much every day.
I miss you.
I get to see her on TV. And, of course, Maryland Brad, what a special day for you.
I call you. I text you. I keep in touch.
You don't text a lot of people, and you do text
That's
me.
true. I'm a bad texter, but I always text Ron Nicoletti.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hey, we'll get the changes, and we'll get this show on the road.